Greetings, Ms. Sugandini. My name is Danish. So today, our group is going to present about our project that is called Linguistic Analysis. Basically, we have to analyze an article that have been approved by Ms. Sugandini. The article that we have chosen is titled "The Man Who Stole a Hotel." So it is generally a story about a fugitive from the United States of America, started fresh on the Vancouver Island, then milked new victims out of millions of dollars while law enforcement refused to act. Let's go. So we are going to start on morphology. In linguistics, morphology is the study of words, how they are formed, and their relationship to other words in the same language. What about coinage? Coinage is defined as invention of totally new terms, which is typical sources comes from brand names and product names. For example, like Panadol or nylon. Now, an example sentence that we have chosen from the article is, on the southwest elevation of the property, overlooking Washington's Olympic mountain range, they plan to build a freestanding spa. So the coinage that we have found in the sentence is Olympic. The second example sentence that we have chosen from the article is, among the hotel's numerous accolades, the New York Times had described it as an enticing and idiosyncratic retreat for epicures, noting that its restaurant was among the half dozen best in Canada. So the coinage that we have found in this sentence is the New York Times, which is a totally new term in English. The next topic is about borrowing. Borrowing is basically taking over words from other language, such as from Arabic, from Malaysian, from Italian. Yes. So there are two example sentences that we have chosen from the article. The first sentence is, but early on, he did not mention any of that. He just provided the Phillips with a letter of intent to buy the hotel. The word that is borrowed in this sentence is buy, which is from Germanic called Bigjan. The second sentence that we found the term borrowing is, and she was hell-bent on finding Durkin, believing he was the reason her husband was sitting in a federal prison in Minnesota. The borrowed word is husband. The husband is actually a word from Old Norse called husbandi. The next topic is compounding, which is joining two separate words into one. For example, like fingerprints, bookcase, and waterfall. The first sentence that we found, the topic compounding, is Frederick encouraged her staff, everyone from the chef to the housekeepers, to express their creativity through the work. The compounding word in the sentence is housekeepers, house and keepers. The second sentence that contains compounding is, Durkin appeared to offer a lifeline. So the word compounding in this sentence is lifeline. Other than that, we also found blending in this article. So blending is basically usage of two separate forms to produce a single new term. For example, like Manglish, infotainment, and telethon. So, in the first sentence we have chosen from the article, which is, she then followed up with Constable John Blazina by email, attaching a copy of the raid notice Interpol had issued for the Durkin. So the answer in the sentence is Interpol, which is a combination of international and police. The second sentence that we found blending is, it is on the internet. So the word that contains blending on the second sentence is the internet. Internet is a combination of international and network. Other than that, clipping is the reduction of a word to a shorter version. For example, like telephone is shortened to phone. So the first example sentence that we found clipping is, at some point during those negotiations, the Philip had stopped their monthly mortgage payments. The clipping word that we found in this sentence is negotiations. So the clip word is nego. Other than that, the next example sentence is the couple planned to move to Vancouver Island after Bruce, a botany professor, retired. So the used clipping in this sentence is prof, which is basically a shorter version of professor. Apart from that, we also found back formation. Back formation is a word that is reduced to another word type. For example, like donation, to donate, and option, to opt. An example sentence that we found in this article is CRA recently assessed an additional $6,000 for payments not received in tax years 2017 and 2018. The answer in this sentence is payments and pay. The second example sentence that we found in this article is he spoke of impressive business connections. The back formation that we found in the sentence is connection and connect. Next, there's also conversion. Conversion is the change of function of a word from noun to verb. The first sentence that we have chosen as an example from the article is they were wholly unprepared for what they were wading into, what a judge would later call a 6-year-old odyssey of lies. So the example word of conversion is wading. The next example sentence that we found in this article is what's particularly galling to the Phillips is that much of the damage could have been avoided. So the word that have conversion in the sentence is galling. Next, there is also acronyms, which is formed from the initial letters of the set from other words. For example, like CD, ATM, and VCR. The acronym that we found in this article is Heath placed the flat screen TVs in the guest room and made other decorative change without consideration. The acronym that we found in this sentence is TV. The second example sentence that we found is including the FBI, including the American authorities, including everybody who was involved in this, nobody did a thing. So the acronym that we found in this sentence is FBI, which is an initial letter of Federal Bureau of Investigation. Next, we are going to morphological description. I am going to present word by word based on 2 sentences that we have found in this article. The first sentence is, then she forwarded it straight to Durkin. Then is lexical. She is lexical. Forward is lexical. Forwarded, the word ed is inflectional. It is functional. Straight is lexical. To is functional, and Durkin is lexical. The second sentence is Durkin appeared to offer a lifeline. The word Durkin is lexical. Appear is lexical. Appeared, ed is inflectional. I'm sorry. Yes, it is inflectional. The word to is functional. Offer is lexical. The word is functional, and last, lifeline is lexical.
Okay, hi, good evening. My name is Muhammad Shazwan bin Marazi. So I'm going to explain about the topic syntax. So syntax means setting out together, or in Greek, syntax means arrangement. So syntax is a study of structure of sentences. So the subtopic that I choose is surface structure. So surface structure is 2 sentences that are different, which is active and passive. So there is a difference in the syntactical structure of those sentences. Okay, so I'm going to give 2 examples. Okay, so the first sentence is he also appealed the ruling refusing to grant him a new trial. Okay, the second sentence is she sat in the copper room drinking a glass of wine and keeping an eye out for the king. So the answer is both the sentence above is one surface structure because they are both active sentence. So, both of the example that I've given is both of them are active sentence. Okay, for the second example is the king then took his fight to court. Then the second sentence is the week before the trial began, a lawyer advised the king to turn himself into US authorities. Okay, both of the sentence are two surface structure because they are active and passive sentence. So for the next subtopic is deep structure. So deep structure is a syntactic representation level with a number of properties that do not have to be related. Deep structure has 4 key characteristics. Okay, first of all, major grammatical relations such as subjects of an object are defined as deep structure. All lexical insertion occurs at deep structure. All transformations occur after deep structure, and all semantics interpretation occurs at deep structure. So, the examples for deep structure I give you 2 examples. So, first sentence is, he also appealed the ruling refusing to grant him a new trial. Okay, the second sentence, she sat in the copper room drinking a glass of wine and keeping an eye out for the king. So, both the sentence have different meanings. Hence, the structure above are 2 deep structure. Okay, the second example. First sentence, the king then took his fight to court. Second sentence, the week before the trial began, a lawyer advised the king to turn himself into US authorities. So, both the sentences have different meaning. Hence, the structure above are 2 deep structures. Okay, the next subtopic is structural ambiguity. Structural ambiguity is a sentence that contains strange meaning. Okay, for structural ambiguity, I give you 2 examples. Okay, the first example is guests could order spa services or, in some room, relax on their balconies in Japan soaking tubs. Okay, the first structural ambiguity is whether they ask the guests could order spa services or they ask the guests to relax on their balconies or rooms. Okay, the second example. The sentence is my whole world fell. Basically, because this job I love. Okay, the structural ambiguity for the sentence are whether the persona said he lost everything because of the job or the persona said that he or she is happy because the persona love the job. So the next subtopic for the topic syntax is tree diagram. So tree diagram is a diagram to split the sentence into some parts of speech that contain words, noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, adverb, preposition, conjunction, interjection, and many more. So, the first example for the tree diagram is the sentence is her name was Lori Peterson. So this sentence divided by 2, which is noun phrase and verb phrase. So the noun phrase is continue with pronoun. So pronoun which is her in the sentence. So verb phrase is continue with noun phrase. And the noun phrase is name was Lori Peterson. So the noun phrases are divided by 2, which is noun and verb phrases. So the noun is name and the verb phrase are divided by 2, which is verb and noun phrase. And the verb is was, and the noun phrase is Lori Peterson, and the noun phrase is continuing with proper noun, which is Lori Peterson.
Hi, my name is Savishman Kumar. Today I'm going to explain on the pragmatics. Okay, first one we known as the invisible meaning. Dunkin at receding an airline and a white goatee and a gray flag. So the white goatee is pointed as the white beard like a goat, and the gray flags known as a gray spot hair on his hair. Moving on into inferences. Inferences known as additional information used by the listener to connect what to say and what must it be mean. So for that, in the 3 decades, the couple had owned a business. They have transformed it into a small waterfront bed and breakfast into popular destination spot that house an internationally re-owned locally sourced and restaurant. They were almost $3 million in areas. So the answers would be the reader is not clear who's the subject and what is the subject mentioned. For references known as the act of where a speaker uses language to enable to listen or identify something which is known as a writer or a reader as well. For example, Google alert Rory as a setup of Dunkey paid off in late 2016, or a job required Kate to work closely with Duncan, and she says he referred to her as a right hand, which means sufficient information and details are given for the listener to understand what and whom they are talking about. Okay, moving on to anaphora and antecedent. Anaphora known as in the 3 decades, there's a couple at own the business. They have transformed a small waterfront motel bed and breakfast into a popular destination spot, and the house international re-owned locally sourced restaurant. Well, antecedent, the highlighted word is the couple, and the anaphora known as the day. The second example is known as the among the author's numerous accolades, the New York Times has described it as an anxiety and ideostratic retreat for Epicurus, noting that this restaurant was among a half dozen best in Canada, and it is a sprawling kitchen garden contained more than 2 acres of herbs, vegetable, and edible flowers, many of them ratifized. For the antecedent known as the New York Times and anaphora is it. Moving on into direct and indirect speech. Direct is known as something conveyed into a text or point in directly, and indirect is something that we don't understand, which convey in the way of it. For the first one, Duncan took off the money and they knew it was a fatigue, and why would they run? For the answer is Dave and Duncan took off the money, why would he run? And then moving on into the second, now that Duncan has lost the opportunity to buy a Snook Obo house, what they wondered and what is the end game. So the Sounders wanted Duncan and the game, which is we can understand it directly. Okay, indirect, he would show up very early some mornings before I have ever seen he be dressed. So answer Gregory would shows up without stating the time of Susanny was in a very early morning. What they are offering was a murky. For answer, Arnold told the Capital Daily that what they are doing was wrong, which is indirect. Moving on into Jixies, there's a 3 type which is known as person, place, and time Jixies. For the first one, known as the run from this man as fast as you can and call the law enforcement, she won, which the answer is as the highlighted is you. Moving on to the place one, we can't stay here. It's like being a homelessness, which is known as here, which is the place they mentioned as a place. There was a little evidence to support that this criminal matters than that, and this mentioned as there, which is known as a place. Moving on into time, this is getting more extreme. Kate remembers thinking while reading Lori's emails that she forwarded straight to Duncan, which means Dan means it refers to time. And moving on into discourse analysis, cooperative principle known as ostensible authority for his action at this hotel. Honestly, it was very difficult watch. He said credible criminal complaints were made to various law enforcement engages, and nobody did anything, includes the FBI, including the American authorities, including everybody who was involved in this. Nobody did a thing which is known as a quality. The second one, so why was the manager able to divert money from the business right under RMCMP nose and known as a relation? Moving on into the background knowledge, which schema means is the location. For the first one, the hotel featured the wood burning fireplace in each of the 28 guest rooms, which Frederick and decorated with the work by local artists who evoke themes of the sea, which is known as the hotel. Is the schema, which is the location. He didn't understand the restaurant business. Frederick said the second answer would be restaurant is the location. Moving on into the script. Okay, the script is known as the then strangely the Gregory began to stopping by her house, announced that quite frequently she said to check the composter and make sure she knew how to operate it. Answer would be first he drove to the house, secondly he met her inside the house. Moving on into the second example, they searched the internet for Lori Peterson, but without the benefit of a deleted email, they didn't know how she spelled a last name. The answer will be first, they switch on the computer, second, they type a first name. Okay, moving on, cohesion. Cohesion means there should be a certain connection within the text. For example, the hotel featured a wood-burning fireplace in each of its 28 guest rooms, which Frederick has decorated with the work by local artists to evoke the themes of the sea, paintings and sculpture by the local artists, and lined up halfway and fill the sitting areas, gift shop, which double as a gallery. So the answer will be the sentence refers to the inside the hotel it looks like. At the same point, during the negotiation, Philip had stopped their monthly mortgage payment, expecting to able to pay off the bank in fully ever closing. They were almost $3 million in the areas. The answer would be the sentence refers to that Philip negotiating with the bank. Okay, moving on into the speak act. Speak hack is known as forms or function for the first one, but we know that we as a fictive from our research, we knew that it was him, and so we gave that to Phillips and said go to the authorities to speak to the lawyers. For the forms, it is imperative, which known as a command. And the second example, because obviously he knew that I told them I wouldn't answer the phone for 2 days. This is known as a declarative, which is a statement, function of statement. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, for the conclusion, so from doing this project, we have gained a lot of new knowledge about the linguistic of the language and on how to identify the sentences from any articles, essays, and many more. So this project might help us on doing some research on articles, essays, summary, and poems. So with this project, it really helped us to do some revision on morphology, syntax, semantics, pragmatics, and discourse analysis. So the task had simplified that linguistic in the study of language, including how it functions and is learned for all of us. So I think that it will be really useful for all of us in our internship in our 7th semester. So we all discuss using Zoom and WhatsApp. So these two applications really help us to communicate without wasting our time to go and meet physically in other places. So from doing a lot of discussion, I can say that all of us really did a great job on completing this project.